Welcome to day 13, where we'll visit the lovely lavender fields in New Zealand. I'm really excited about this tour because I love lavenders, so let's begin sketching. I place the horizon on the upper portion of the paper, then I draw the distant mountains. I do very light strokes of some row of trees at the background. Next, I select a vanishing point and use it as my guide for drawing the rows of lavenders. I make 5 rows of lavender in the field. Next, I erase the unnecessary lines and the vanishing point. I define a bit my main sketch, creating those curved outline on the edge. We won't be painting the field in detail, but I try to create the direction of the lavenders so I know how to do my strokes later on. We want to portray that cylindrical shape, so we take note of that when we apply colors. Let's lighten the sketch and moisten the paper. Using horizon blue and amethyst genuine, I paint the sky with a very soft gradient. Since the foreground will be heavy on colors, we will keep the sky simple yet very soft. I also paint a bit of ochre on the horizon for sunlight. Next, let's mix our green and horizon blue and amethyst genuine to paint the whole distant mountains. I paint the mountain with a slightly creamier mix than the sky. The sky fragment is also still moist, giving me that soft blend. Next, I mix lunar blue and green with a bit of ochre to paint the field and trees near the horizon. I drop some dark green colors to create sort of layer. Next, let's paint the grassland with quick strokes of green following the direction or angle of the land. Let's add a very pretty color of lavender using lavender and amethyst genuine. Notice the consistency of my mix. Because it is creamy, the blend between the purple and green is controlled, soft, and very vibrant. Let's drop some dark violet color for texture too. Now let's paint the greens in between lavenders. I do the same swift diagonal stroke using light green. Then I add dark tone of green on the edge. We are painting on dry paper here, but we work fast, so when we add another color, the two colors will still blend nicely. Like here, when I paint the lavender, the green stroke is still moist, giving a nice color connection between green and violet. Notice the direction of my stroke as I paint the lavender. I do semicircle strokes following the curve sketch that I did earlier. Light comes from the right, so we make the left side darker and the right side of the lavender light. I just play with the ratio and proportion on lavender and amethyst genuine to create different shades. If I want a darker tone, I add more amethyst and less water in my mix. If I want to create mid-tone, I add more lavender and a bit of water. For the light tone, I just put generous amount of water. I splatter water in the field using my liner brush. This will create tiny blooms to show impressions of delicate flowers. The stroke and application of appropriate tone is crucial to making your field not to look flat and plain. As I paint the left side, I didn't make it as detailed as the other ones. It is almost blurry. Now let's create textures by lifting technique. Using a clean liner brush with water in it, I create downward strokes that will, in effect, lift off the colors on the fragment. The timing when doing this is very important. In order to achieve a nice effect, you have to do this while the fragment is a bit moist, which is not too wet and not too dry. As the fragment dries, you will slowly notice some lines of lifted paint. Next, let's add some highlights using amethyst and lavender. Let's dry this layer before adding some final details. I get a thick and dark green color to contour the field. Doing this gives more dimension to the rows of lavenders. I just put dabs of paint and not really outline the entire field. See the difference that it brings when we dab paint on the lavenders. It created dimension, giving that rounded shape on the rows of lavenders. Now let's enhance the middle ground by adding some strokes. Since the colors on the mountain faded a bit, we can paint again the impression of distant trees. I'll add one tree here to create balance on the composition. I'll paint the tree starting with the yellow-green color, then connect a dark green color. Let's finish up by splattering some purple paints in the foreground, and I will also splatter lavender and lastly, opaque white color. Let's add a few more dark strokes and we are done. Tomorrow is a bittersweet day for me, so let's take our last lesson in the next video.